All right, we're ready. Good afternoon, folks. Thank you very much. Let's see. Of course, everything works right until the beginning of the session. So my name is Raul Gonzalez, and I am a senior program manager in the cloud and enterprise team at Microsoft. And in my job, what I do is I manage partners who are doing integration work with several components of the cloud and enterprise stack. That work goes from System Center, Windows Server, including Intune and several other different pieces. What we're going to be talking today is based on feedback that we got from this community, the community who used to attend MMS, who went to TechEd, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the biggest requests that we got was around management pack authoring. So we have worked with one company here, which is Silect, and we work together discussing what can be done. How can we help the community with this particular need? So the content that we're going to be covering today will essentially be targeting that particular space. So here with me, we have Harold Dyke, which is CEO of Silect. And we have Mike Sargent, which is a senior developer at Silect. And feel free to ask any questions you may have to them later on. I think we have maybe not. OK, there it goes. Needs to get really close to the keyboard. As objectives for today is I will be doing a very quick overview of which tools are available for authoring management packs. I'm assuming that all of you are familiar in what this space is. Management packs are extensions which can be added to System Center Operations Manager. I assume that you know that. If you don't, you might not be in the right session, or we may need to have a follow-up to give you better context in terms of what that is. And then we will be talking about 3 different tools with a with more detail on one in particular. So that will be the second bullet here that we have on the scenario. So at the end of the session, hopefully you will have the resources that you need to do this management pack authoring, and hopefully they will be able to serve your needs. I will ask you that you hold your questions until the end of the sessions. We have microphones on the sides of the aisles. Please walk to them and place your question over there so that we can actually keep them in the recording. And I think that's about it. We kind of cover this already. We'll do the options. We'll do a demo, and then we'll point you to resources. So today, if you are a developer, if you write code, you probably are familiar with the System Center Visual Studio authoring extensions. This is the supported method that Microsoft has and continues to support today for management pack authoring. One of the biggest feedback that we got on this particular extension is that it's very, very customizable. You can do a lot of things. The problem is you need to spend some time making it work, right? You need to actually write code. Many times, IT pros need to be able to rev these management packs quicker. And it is for that reason that we have, and this is exactly the part where we collaborated with Silect, where we created, there are 2 tools that Silect created. One of them is MP Author, which is going to be the focus of this particular session. And then there is another one, which is MP Studio. MP Studio belongs to the portfolio of solutions that Silect had. So today, Harold will be helping clarify what the scenarios are covered by MP Author and what are MP Studio. One of the things I would like to stress here is that MP Author is a completely free tool. You can download it from the websites that they have. It's not time-bound. You can really use it at your free will in commercial and your own companies. And you have support options for the tool as well that we will cover as well. With that, let me introduce you to Harold Dyke. Harold.
All right. Thanks very much, Raul. You always know that when the setup goes really, really smoothly, that things are bound to not go so smoothly during the demo. So fingers crossed for the rest of the session. Hello, everyone. My name is Harold Dyke, founder and president of Silex Software. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Today we'll be talking, of course, about MP-Author, and more than talking about it, we'll be showing you a demonstration of MP-Author and how it can be used to address what I think is a pretty common type of scenario. Along with me is Mike Sargent, who we introduced earlier. Mike's one of the senior developers, worked on MP-Author, really led the charge with some of the development of MP-Author, and he's here primarily to help me when I get into trouble during the demonstration. So who is Silex Software? We've been around since 2003. We've been exclusively focused on the System Center market for 12 years, since the inception of the business. And really what we try and do is help organizations deploy, manage, and operate System Center more efficiently, more effectively. We try and help you get more out of your investments that you made in the System Center market. We have a portfolio of products, an ever-growing portfolio of products. Of course, today we're going to spend most of our time on MP-Author, which is the free authoring tool for management packs. Towards the end of my demo, I will be touching on MP Studio and just showing you a little bit of some of the additional features we provide for management pack lifecycle management in MP Studio. We have a family of products for the configuration manager space as well, to do reporting, to do baseline management. We have a free product called SCCM Reporter that allows you to do patch compliance reporting using information from System Center Configuration Manager. And then just 3 weeks ago, I was down here at HIMSS conference, the Healthcare Information Management Summit, and we announced in partnership with Microsoft and HITRUST a new HITRUST compliance pack. So we're providing some, in the initial scenario is HIPAA compliance, and we're providing that via System Center to give you real-time visibility into your HIPAA compliance state. And so let's get right to it. So I've got, I think, 2 or 3 more slides, and then we're going to jump right into the demo. I'll plan to spend probably about 45 minutes taking you through 3 different scenarios using the MP-Author product and then jumping to MP Studio right at the end. So what is MP-Author? Free development tool for Operations Manager management packs for Ops Manager 2012. Again, we work very closely with Raul, with the partner team, with the engineering team within Microsoft to help us build the tool. You'll see we have some integrations with some of the Microsoft technologies, such as the Best Practice Analyzer that comes delivered with MP-Author. And so we spent a lot of time planning the product, investing in the product. We're now about 16 months into the cycle. We released the initial version in January 2014 and have a lot of feedback since then. And again, really an IT Pro-driven tool for management packs. You'll see it's very wizard-driven. As we walk through the demos, there'll be a lot of wizards that we're going to walk through. But we do provide you with the ability to get into the XML too, if that's something that you want to do for more advanced types of scenarios. MP-Author is principally used to create new management packs, but you can also open and edit existing management packs with the MP-Author tool. And you'll see we'll create some of the very common componentry within a management pack, things like discoveries, targets, monitors, rules, etc. We'll see all that during today's demo. So the big news today is that we're launching MP-Author SP4, which is now the 5th release of MP-Author since we introduced it to the market in January 2014. And it's really a release that's focused on the feedback we've had from the community. And you've told us a couple things very, very clearly with the first 4 editions of MP-Author. You wanted better targeting support. You wanted the ability to get more granular with your targeting in the discovery. And so we introduced a feature in SP4 called Seeded Discovery. And I'll be showing that during the demonstration. You asked for improved monitor authoring. So you wanted to do more with your monitors, do better things with your monitors. And so we introduced some new features to generate more informational alerts, more actionable alerts when you create monitors within the product. Editing, we continue to make improvements with management pack editing. And so I've always provided the ability to jump into XML and do some detailed, sort of more granular types of editing there. But we're also exposing more and more properties that you can change, that you can edit in the user interface itself. And as always, fixes and performance improvements. We heard a lot from the community about MP-Author being too resource hungry, too slow, took up too much memory, and we worked a lot to try and bring down the memory consumption in particular and speed up some of the performance elements of the product. So today I'll be demonstrating SP4. It's not a release product yet, but there's nothing better than standing up and demoing beta software in front of a couple hundred people with your fingers crossed. So I feel pretty good about it, but famous last words. And I do have Mike here to blame if anything goes wrong. So.
Thank you, Harold.
Okay, so the scenario that we're going to walk through is a fictional company called Acme Healthcare Corporation. They are a multinational healthcare corporation. They deliver healthcare services to patients, and they have a frontline application used by doctors, nurses, technicians that's used in the delivery of their services to patients. And so we're going to use MP Author to create a management pack to monitor the health of that critical application for Acme Healthcare. And this first scenario that we walk through is really designed to give you just the end-to-end authoring experience using MP Author. We're going to create a new management pack, we're going to create some targets, we're going to create some monitors, and we're going to deploy it into Operations Manager, and just to give you that full end-to-end view of the experience of creating a management pack. After that, we're going to get into a few more sophisticated scenarios. So let's jump over to the demo. And here we've got our MP Author screen ready to go. Again, MP Author free download, mpauthor.com is where you can get the bits. We do have a requirement that you have the Ops Manager console installed in the same system that you're running MP Author, and that's because it delivers some libraries that we require. But other than that, there's no database requirement. In fact, there's no connection required from your system running MP Author to your Ops Manager server. So this is, in fact, an application that you can give to your line of business application owners, perhaps other business units, want to create their own monitoring rules and their own discovery rules and bring them into the IT group to implement within Ops Manager. That's certainly a scenario that's supported by MP Author. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started and build our Acme Healthcare monitoring application. So I'm just going to click on the new toolbar button. We're going to open up the management pack creation wizard, and just going to ask us for a couple of questions. So first of all, we're just going to call this very simply the Acme application. We're going to automatically fill in a version information, description. You'll see throughout the demonstration today with these wizards, we auto-populate the fields, typically all the fields, when you're creating new objects within MP Author. And that's really designed just to give you some guidance as to, some suggestions really as to what things should be named, and help you avoid some of the common pitfalls when creating new objects within an authoring environment. So next we're going to specify a working folder. Again, as I mentioned earlier, we're working completely independently of Operations Manager, so everything's going to happen on my own development workstation, my own system here. I don't need a connection to my Ops Manager environment. Clicking on Next, it's going to ask me if I want to add any references. So references are used by management packs to be able to leverage libraries or functions that exist in other places and other management packs. We automatically populate 6 references, as you see here, which address the most common types of management pack authoring scenarios. You do have the ability to add additional references, so if you have a more sophisticated or advanced authoring scenario, you can add additional references as you build your new management pack. So now I get to a decision point in terms of which MP template do I want to use. I can create an empty management pack and manually step through the creation of targets and monitors and rules, etc. In this example, I'm going to use a single server application, which is a pretty basic type of scenario, a pretty basic application to monitor with this management pack. But we also have a distributed application wizard that'll step you through the creation of targets, monitors, for a 3-tiered application that has typically a front end, a middle tier, and a back end. And we'll step the user through the creation of each of the necessary parts to monitor a 3-tier application. But again, in this example, let's go with a single server application. And so the first thing we're going to want to do is define a target. How will the management pack know where it needs to run the monitors? How will it know what it needs to manage? And in this example, I'm going to use a registry setting. So I'm going to click on the registry setting. And in this particular wizard, as you'll see, and you're going to see this prompt many, many times, I'm given the opportunity when I create new management pack objects, I'm given the opportunity to go out and browse either my local machine or something on the network that contains artifacts of, in this case, the application we want to manage. So this is going to help me by browsing a system, in this case, browsing the registry of a system. It's going to help me design and author the necessary targets for the application. So I know I have a copy of the application installed on my local machine. I'm going to browse my local registry. I'm going to pick my patient health information application. I'm just going to choose one of the registry entries, which again is going to be used by the management pack to identify the existence of the application we want to monitor. I'll click Add. I could add other keys here as well if necessary. Then it's going to ask me for some information about what it is we're defining. So I'm just going to I'm going to strip away some of this information just to shorten up the name. So I'm going to call this the Acme Application Target. Next, it's going to ask me for the base class. So this is what it's going to use to create. We're creating an instance of a base class. And because we really want to find Windows computers, I'm going to use the Windows Computer base class. I could have used the local application. I could have used that default value. In this example, though, selecting the Windows Computer base class gives me a little bit more flexibility. Next, we're going to automatically enable the discovery for the target that we're creating. And again, let me just remove some of the verbiage here. And next it's going to say, well, where do you want to run the discovery? We're creating the target. We're going to automatically create a discovery. Where do you want to run that discovery? This is a new feature in the SP4, which enables us to deliver a seeded discovery capability. In this example, I want to run it just against the Windows Computer group. However, in the next scenario that we'll walk through, I'll actually make use of that seeded capability to be able to further target a set of computers for this particular example. The registry expression, I'm just going to leave these default values here. Again, if I have a more sophisticated scenario where I have multiple registry entries, if I want to add some Boolean values to and/or types of things, I can add it at this screen. For the discovery, I'm going to do something really, really bad. And I'm going to say run the discovery every minute. And the reason I do this is just as we get into showing you what it looks like within the Ops Manager environment. Hopefully the discoveries will run quickly. Don't ever recommend doing this in a production environment. And in fact, when we run later on, we'll run the best practice analyzer. It'll point this out and say, you're doing something that's not real smart. So let's hit finish. MPAuthor is going to go out and create the discovery, create the target, create the discovery, and ask us to continue to go through the wizard, clicking on Next. I'll have the opportunity now to create the monitors. So now that we've defined, or we've told the management pack how to discover the application, we want to tell the management pack now how to determine if it's healthy. What do we want to monitor within that application? And there's a couple things that I'm going to do. First of all, I'm going to create a new service monitor. So here you see the 6 different options we have for creating monitors within MPAuthor. And I'm going to create a new service monitor because I know the application makes use of a service. Again, I'm going to browse a system where I know that application is installed. I'm going to use information about the service on that system where it's installed to help me define this particular monitor. So here, right at the very top of the list is that service that we're going to monitor. It's asking me, where do I want to target this monitor? So I don't want to target every computer in my environment. I only want to target this monitor at the specific systems that are running the Acme healthcare application. So I'm going to leave that target as it is. We'll use the availability parent monitor. I'll just leave that as the default value. We're going to enable the service, and again, let me just going to clean this up a little bit. So that's the name and display name for the service. Here are the 2 different states for the service. So typically a service is running, it's healthy. If it's not running, we get into a warning or an unhealthy state. I'll leave these default values the way they are. And here I'm given an opportunity to create an alert. So not all monitors necessarily, you don't want to necessarily create an alert for every monitor that's running within your environment. But for this case, because Acme really cares about this application, because it affects the delivery of healthcare to their patients, and ultimately their business, they want to enable an alert to be alerted when this service, in this scenario, when the service fails. So here I'll enable the alert, set priority severity. Over here on the right-hand side where you see these additional fields, this is another new feature in MPAuthor SP4. So I now have the ability to add more data, more relevant data to the alert message that gets generated. So hopefully the operator or the consumer of this alert has the necessary information to be able to take action with it. So in this example, I could just add a couple of additional properties. Before, this was, in previous versions, this was a little bit of a cumbersome experience for a lot of folks. And we'll click on Finish to complete the creation of that service monitor. I'm going to add one more type of monitor, which is an event monitor. So the other thing about this application, when it starts generating certain types of events, I know the application is going into an unhealthy state. So I'm going to create an event monitor to look for those unhealthy states. I'm going to browse my local machine where the application is installed. And here is where I'm going to define the actual event that's going to be monitored by the management pack. So we're going to look in the application log. I can choose one of the existing event sources that we have, or I can enter it in. And the particular event is just going to be a numeric value. We're going to target this monitor at the application. So only the systems that are running this Acme application are going to be targeted for this particular monitor. And we'll put it in the availability container. This is a field that tells me when do I want to clear the alert. So I'm going to choose to, so perhaps the application creates another event when it returns to a healthy state. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is used to determine, or used to say it's going into an unhealthy state. In this case, I could define another event that says it's going back into a healthy condition. We're going to enable the target. And we've had a lot of feedback for those of you. I guess I should ask earlier, how many of you have used MP Author? Okay, some of you. How many have used the Visual Studio authoring extensions? Okay, a bunch of you. Some of the feedback we've had from MP Author is, as you see, as I'm walking through these wizards and changing the names, is to give you a little bit more flexibility over the names, because I don't want to create an event monitor, I don't think, that has a name that's that verbose. So we are considering giving you some more flexibility in terms of defining some templates maybe for naming certain objects. So I'm just going to edit this and call this an event monitor. Do the same down here. Call this event. And so when the event gets raised, it goes into a warning state. When the second event gets raised, it's going to go back into a healthy state. I can optionally generate an alert based on this particular monitor. Again, I have the ability to change some of the alert parameters. And let's go ahead and finish. And at this point, I'm done creating my initial sort of health model, let's say, for the application. I've got a couple of monitors. I've got the targeting and discovery. Finally, I'm going to define the roll-up algorithm. So we're going to use the worst of condition and roll that up. And then we're done. So I'm going to hit finish. And MP Author is going to go out and construct that management pack based on the settings we chose during the running of the wizard. And it's going to present it to me here in the designer window. So I'm going to spend a little bit more time in this designer window in the next scenario. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to deploy this management pack right up to my Ops Manager environment. And so the way I'm going to do that, so you see over here on the left-hand side, I have at the parent, I have the management pack itself. I have containers reflecting all the sort of the relevant components of the management pack. And if I right-click at the very top, I'm given an option to deploy this management pack. So let's go ahead and choose that option. Here it's going to ask me for my management server. It's going to ask me for some credentials used to access that management server. And I will say everything is running virtualized on my local machine, so I try to avoid any issues with networking, but sometimes I come up with some performance issues when doing that. So let's just, might have to be patient here for a minute as it deploys the management pack. Here it's showing me that it's deploying version 1.0. At the bottom here, you see some text saying some reference management packs already exist on the management server. So what we'll do, when we deploy a management pack, we'll check all your referenced management packs, make sure the right version, either the same version or a newer version of those reference management packs exist on your management server. If they don't, we'll bring those over as well as part of that deployment. So let's hit deploy and see what happens. And you see here at the bottom left, you see it's working away. Okay, successful. So let's go take a look at our Ops Manager console. Administration, let's go down to the Management Pack section. And we should see the new management pack appear in a minute or two. There it is, the Acme application. So we now see that management pack's installed in our Ops Manager environment. The discoveries are now running within the environment. As soon as that application gets discovered, those monitors will be applied, and we'll start monitoring the health state of that very important healthcare application within Acme Healthcare. And just to look at the state of the discovery, again, I don't expect we'll see anything yet, but I can go up to the discovered inventory. I can change my target to look only at the Acme application target. And yeah, we haven't discovered anything yet. So we're going to come back to this. And, there it did. It actually found one of the systems already. And so this is a system where it has an instance of the application installed on it. And if I go into Health Explorer as an example, I can see at the very top of that list, I can see a couple of those application monitors. We don't have a state yet, so Ops Manager hasn't been able to actually determine the state of that application yet, but we can see those monitors are running within the Ops Manager environment, and in the next few minutes we'll see state information about those monitors. Okay, so that's kind of the first scenario that I wanted to walk through. Again, it's really designed to give you an end-to-end experience of creating a management pack, deploying it to Ops Manager. What does it look like in Operations Manager? The next scenario is we're going to add a little more sophistication to that management pack. And so the other thing about Acme Healthcare, multinational company, but their systems in the U.S., actually their systems worldwide come under some regulatory compliance requirements. In the U.S. specifically, they have some HIPAA compliance requirements. So what they need to do is for those U.S.-based systems, they not only want to monitor the health of the application, but they also want to look at some of the HIPAA compliance on those systems that are running the application because they're accessing protected health information. So this next demonstration, this next scenario, will again use MP Author to show you how we can enable that. So let's go back to the demo. And go back to my management pack. And so the first thing I need to do is I need to tell the management pack, I need to define a target for only the US-based systems. And so we've got targets already, of course, defined to look for the application, but I'm going to define a new target to look for systems that are based in the US. And one big takeaway for you when using MP Author is if you're not sure how to do something, right-click on it, because we use that pervasively throughout the product. And so, for example, when I click on the targets container here, we see a list of the targets. When I right-click on that container, I'm given the options to create new ones. Now, the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to create a new WMI target. This probably isn't the best choice, but it's something that we'll use just for the purposes of this demonstration. I'm going to look at a WMI class that has some information about the operating system and pick a country code from that. So let's go and, again, browse my local machine. When I hit browse, we're now opening up the WMI database on my local machine, and I can look through, let's look through the SimV2. And I'm going to scroll down and I'm looking for the Win32 operating system class. This dialog is a little bit tricky. It's very, very powerful, and WMI and be able to build WQL queries and run them within Ops Manager is a very powerful capability. It gives you access to a wealth of information. This dialog is a little bit tricky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the class that I want to access. I'm going to come down here and click the Retrieve button. Next, I'm going to come up here and select the record. So we just have one record. There's a country code 1, which is what I'm going to use to key in on those US systems. And we do provide a little bit of information here, a little bit of text describing what to do next. I don't know if you can read that from the back or not. But basically what I need to do is I need to construct a WQL query. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to use the checkbox to the left of the property. And you see when I hit that country code, we added that to the where part of the where clause of the WQL statement that we're building. And so that's going to key in on the US systems. I do need to select another field to return. Doesn't really matter what other field to return because the only thing I'm interested in this WQL query running is telling me which systems have that country code equal to 1. That means they're in the US. That means I need to monitor HIPAA compliance. So there's my fully formed WQL statement. If I'm comfortable with that and it reflects what I need to do with my intent, I'm going to click on Add. I'm going to click on OK. I don't need to change any of these properties. If we had multiple items, or if we want to add additional items to this particular target for a more sophisticated scenario, I could do that within this screen. I'm going to click on Next. I'm going to change this very lengthy name. Let's just call this target application, let's call it US. Next. The base class, again, I'm still looking at Windows Computer, so I'm going to continue to use the Windows Computer as the base class for this target that we're building. We're going to enable the discovery. And this is where I'm going to choose, instead of targeting this at Windows computers, I only care about running this particular discovery on systems that have been previously identified as having that Acme application. So this is the seeded discovery capability that I mentioned earlier. That's a new feature in SP4, giving you just that extra level of granularity within your management pack authoring experience, and particularly with targets and discovery. So I'm going to, again, do a bad thing and run the discovery very, very frequently. Let's go ahead and create the target and discovery. So now my management pack is going to not only look for and find the healthcare application, it's going to look for systems in the US, and now I need to define some additional monitors to look at that HIPAA compliance. So I'm going to go up to my monitors container. I'm going to right-click on that container. In this case, I'm going to show you authoring a script monitor. And so as part of our experience of creating a compliance pack with our partner in HITRUST, we create a whole bunch of PowerShell scripts to do some of that work. So I'm going to leverage some of those PowerShell scripts in creating some monitors here. So I'm going to go out and browse. I'm going to find a PowerShell script that I want to run. Now, this is just a generic script. So what I'm going to do is I need to be able to get the value passed from the script back to Operations Manager. I'm going to do that using a property bag. So that's just a standard entity within Operations Manager. I'm going to populate a field called compliant. So that script's going to run. It's going to check on something. In this case, it's going to make sure the login notice is enabled. And it's going to return a value back to a property bag, which is going to get passed into Operations Manager. So if that field that gets passed back, compliant, is equal to true, that means we're in good shape. This is really a binary type of event, so I'm going to remove that warning state. And if compliant comes back as false, we're in a non-compliant state. Did I not do that, Mike? No, I didn't. Thank you. Next, we're going to target this script only at systems that are in the US. And so there, again, the benefit of using that seeded discovery capability. I'm going to put the parent monitor be configuration. Let's enable this monitor. And here, again, I want to give this a much more friendly name. Login notice enabled. I'm going to run this very, very frequently within my Ops Manager environment. I can choose to create alerts based on this happening. Again, I have the flexibility of adding some additional information to the alerts that get generated. And let's go ahead and create that new script monitor. And let's quickly do one more script monitor before we move on. And I'm just going to walk through this pretty quickly. Password history. So I'm going to basically follow the same steps that I just followed earlier. I'm going to create the property bag. I'm going to pass that on. Remove the warning. If that compliant comes back false, that's a bad thing. No. The other one up here. Thank you. I knew I brought my glasses up here for a reason. I should look at the big screen. My monitor in the office is very, very large. Compliant equals false. And that's a Boolean. Did I get the Boolean there? Yep. Okay. So let's target that again at those US systems in the configuration container. HIPAA. Next, very frequent monitoring interval. Generate an alert. Next, finish. Okay, done creating monitors. So we're going to go and find the application, find the US systems, and we're going to monitor them for a couple of HIPAA compliance data points. The next thing I want to do actually, let's do this. Let me deploy this, because this is going to take a minute or two to get this. Let's save. This is going to take a minute or two for the discovery and the monitoring to start happening in Ops Manager. So I'm going to go ahead and deploy this up to my Ops Manager server. It's going to make sure all the references are there. It's going to show me that we're deploying a new version, which is great. And it's going to deploy that management pack. And the reason I'm doing that, I want to let those discoveries run and let some of that monitoring happen before we flip back to the console. The next thing I want to do before I sort of finish up some of the authoring scenarios with MP Author is I want to create a couple of new views. So I want to be able to surface up that information within the Ops Manager console. And I'm going to begin by creating a new folder, which is going to help some of my operations people find these monitors and this state information that we're looking at. And I can just call this, remove a lot of this, and just call it folder. So we'll go ahead and create that new folder. And now I'm going to go down to the views section. I'm going to right-click on the views, and let's just create a couple new state views. Quickly, it's going to ask me where I want to put these views. Let's put them in that new folder that we just created. I'll leave the operations category as is. And let's report on everything. Let's report on all severities here. The target, however, for this is going to be the application. And so I can trim off some of this stuff as well. Next, finish. And maybe let's create another state view for those US-based systems. So the folder is going to, again, be that ACME folder. The target, in this case, I'm just going to target those US-based systems. I'm going to choose all these different states. Let's get rid of that. Get rid of that. Finish. Okay. Save, and let's go and deploy this guy as well. And I think, actually, I forgot to increment the version. I think it's going to probably prompt me, yep. So this is telling me that I've already got that same version installed on my Ops Manager server. So what I need to do here is I'm going to go back and just do a version increment on that management pack, go back and deploy it. That's better. Okay, so while it's doing that, let's flip over to our Ops Manager console. And what we should see when that management pack gets installed, we should see a new view appear. But we should also be seeing some new state information. So let me bring up my Windows computer view. And indeed, I have a system that's gone into a critical state. If I drill down using Health Explorer, I can see exactly what's going wrong with that application. So here we can see that one of the compliance rules that we authored, looking at the login notice, is not working as planned. The script ran, didn't find the value that it wanted, so that's being reported back as non-compliant, which is exactly what I wanted to accomplish with those scripts. I also see this new ACME application folder is surfaced up in the Ops Manager console. I see a couple of state views that I authored in MP Author show up here. So I can basically get a view of my application as a whole, or I can get a view just on perhaps a narrower scope of systems based on those running the application based in the US. So now I've been able to define some views for my operators to give them more insight as to the state of both the application as well as some of the compliance aspects of it. Okay, so that's all working as planned, which is great. Let's go back and into my MP author environment. And so there's a lot of things that I haven't shown you. We've flipped through 2 different scenarios showing you, a bunch of different authoring things. There's a number of other features of capabilities within MP Author that I'll just walk you through some of those things at this time. Again, the left click is very, very important to surface up the options that are available through the product. We have a number of other monitor types that are supported by MP Author. And so in many cases, you're going to want to monitor a database, perhaps monitor a website. We've incorporated some of the templates from Operations Manager into the product to allow us to create those types of objects. And so, for example, let's walk through the creation of a couple of these. This is a database monitor. As the name suggests, you want to monitor a database or elements of a database. It's going to ask me for what database we want to monitor. So I'm just going to choose a local SQL Express instance. And I'll just choose one of these databases. This monitoring wizard allows me to specify a query. So I can also instruct Operations Manager to run a query against this database and measure the response time. I hear mumbling. I must have done a typo, which is very common. As you can see, I've done typos before. And so I have the ability within this database monitor wizard to monitor connection time to the database, query time, fetch time, getting very, very granular in terms of the different elements that we can monitor within a database, naming. This is a placeholder here. So this is where I define a watcher node within Operations Manager. So this is the system within the Ops Manager environment that's actually going to be running these queries against the database. And here I can specify. Let's go and try this. I could leave it blank. I could leave it as a placeholder so that I would need to go in the Ops Manager console and then make the change once this management pack has been uploaded. However, I can also do it here. I can just manually type in the name of the watcher node, and that'll get embedded in the management pack. And I didn't type in something right. So let's just leave it as a placeholder. And there I can finish and create that new database monitor, which I'm going to bail out of. Some of the other types of monitors, the performance monitor, again, very powerful capability in terms of monitoring performance aspects, either of a machine or components of a machine. I'm able to go out and browse the perfmon information on an existing system within my environment. We give you the pick list here of all the different objects, counters, etc., of things that we can use to author this new performance monitor. We can target it. We can see the parent monitor. And we're not going to walk through all these different things. And here we can define the thresholds for the performance monitor. Cancel out of that. And show you, we've seen the script monitor, we've seen the service, the website monitor is, as the name would indicate, so we can create a new monitor to look at the availability of a website. And we can choose some parameters here, placeholder. Wait, I skipped over something. So here's the polling interval. How frequently do we want to poll this particular website and check for its availability? And going down the list, something we haven't touched on at all are rules within Operations Manager and within the ability to author those rules within MP Author. We provide a very similar type of authoring experience, and we don't need to run through all of these. But I can author rules that basically Ops Manager uses to collect and store information. As I'm creating these rules, we also provide you with the ability to create views associated with those rules, so you can automatically create views of that data that you're collecting and define that within your management pack. We can also save it out to the data warehouse. And what else? I guess the last thing just to show you is some of the other view capabilities that we have, some of the other view creation capabilities that you have within MP Author, including dashboards, event views, etc. Something I want to go back to is when I click on an object within MP Author, we see in this case, we're seeing the 5 or 6 defined monitors. If I click on one of these monitors, we have all the properties that we can edit appear over here on the right-hand side of the screen. And so if you either maybe make a mistake when you run the wizard, or you have an existing management pack that you want to open and edit within MP-Author, we do expose a lot of the properties of the objects within the MP-Author UI. We continue to grow that list, so SP4 has a few extra properties that you're able to edit, and we're going to continue to grow that list of things that you can edit within the MP-Author environment. I also have some other options in terms of being able to, for example, create knowledge. So that's sort of a big part of a management pack, is be able to create knowledge associated with the different elements in the management pack, and we provide a facility of doing knowledge creation. I can also do things like some pretty basic documentation. So what I can do is I can copy and paste, for example, all these monitors out to an Excel spreadsheet. And if I want to share this with others within my organization, whether it's maybe it's an application owner, or maybe it's a security compliance officer, I can share with them exactly what rules, what monitors are running within the environment by creating this Excel document. And the last thing is XML editing. So if there's a scenario, and there are a number of scenarios that we don't support, we have obviously a limited set of things that we can author within MP-Author. We think it's broad. We think it addresses many, many common scenarios for monitoring. But if there's a more advanced scenario that MP-Author just isn't able to give you the ability to create, we do always provide you with the ability to go into XML and do some XML editing of that. And this obviously requires intimate knowledge of the schema, of the objects that you want to add within the environment. We've also made a number of improvements in the XML editing, performance, and resource improvements. Before it was a little bit bloated, and so we've addressed some of those concerns with the version of SP4 that we're looking at here. Okay, and last but not least, I wanted to show you integration with some of the other Microsoft tools. So with our partnership with Microsoft and with the licensing agreement we have, we're able to deliver some of the other tools and components that are commonly used by management pack developers. And for example, we have the ability to run MP Verify. So if this was a sealed management pack, I could run the Microsoft MP Verify tool against it, which is integrated directly into the console, as you can see. I also have the ability to run the Microsoft Best Practices Analyzer. And so that's another component integrated with MP-Author. And we probably are going to see some issues here. So let's just look at some of these results. I see a bunch of warnings, but I do see some critical. And if I click on that, you'll see that, yeah. So we chose, again, some monitoring intervals that were far too short, and it's telling us about that. Okay, so there we've done our second scenario. So I'm just going to flip back to the slides for just a minute. And so everything that we've done so far has been using the free MP-Author tool. So we've done, it's somewhat abbreviated, but still, it's a pretty advanced scenario in some regards in terms of monitoring the health of an application, further discovering systems that are in a certain geography, running some scripts against those to look for some compliance rules. The last part of the demo that I want to show you is just to do some additional deployment tasks. And so I'm going to kind of switch gears for a few minutes and just talk about our MP Studio product. Our MP Studio is a licensed product from Sylect, but you'll see it's a very natural extension of the work that we've been doing within the MP-Author environment. So let's take a quick look at that. And the way I'm sort of going to bridge between MP-Author and MP Studio is I'm going to save the management pack that we've been working on, and I'm going to save it to something called the store. So what is the store? The store is a version control database that's delivered by MP Studio. So one of the features of MP Studio is it gives you a full version control capability to manage the source that you have for your management packs. So as I was talking, I saw a new folder created here called Acme Application. So that represents the management pack that we built using MP-Author. And if I actually do this, and one of the new things that we've done within within MP Studio, and if any of you are using the product, we've now integrated some of the authoring capabilities directly into the console to give you more of a unified authoring experience. So if I just move that pane over on the left-hand side, we have a very, very similar MP-Author type of experience here within MP Studio. But we've added some additional advanced authoring features to the product. So quick example is we've added a new process monitor. So within MP Studio, I can take my management pack and I can now create a new process monitor. that allows me to get very, very granular in terms of some application monitoring capability. You see a very similar wizard that we've seen before within MP Author. So we leverage a lot of the same capabilities, a lot of the same user experience is replicated here, but we've added some advanced authoring capabilities. And let's just finish this off. I'll just take all the default values here. I think I'm running a little bit behind. So let's just use the default values here. We can generate an alert for this particular process monitor. I'll hit finish. So there's a new process monitor that we created. One of the other things we've done as well is the ability to create aggregate and dependency roll-up monitors. So if I'm monitoring HIPAA compliance, for example, I don't necessarily care that I have 30 or 40 or 60 different things that are out of compliance. What I want to do to my network operators, for example, is give them a single view to say, hey, this machine is out of compliance, but then let them drill down to see the details. The way I can do that is with an aggregate roll-up monitor. So what I can do here is I can choose a configuration, and let's walk through this. I'm going to target this new aggregate roll-up monitor at, let's say, all my US-based systems. US aggregate is fine. I can choose to create an alert with this aggregate roll-up. And here's where I can specify which of the monitors that we've created already, which of the unit monitors that we've created do I want to roll up into this new aggregate monitor. And this, again, allows me the ability to take those alerts that would have been generated by those unit monitors. I do have the ability here to disable those alerts and only provide alerts at the sort of the parent level that will give us an indication of HIPAA compliance, whether it's compliant or non-compliant. Now, one of the things, as I'm making changes to this management pack, if I just bring back my Explorer view, as I'm making changes and saving those changes, what's happening is we're creating also an audit history of those changes within my management pack. So delivered by MP Studio, this version control capability, I now have additional capabilities to look at what's changed. So if I look at the audit history report, I can see that a lot of things have changed. So just with the few items that we've done in that monitoring, the aggregate roll-up monitor and the new process monitor, you see it actually impacts a lot. There's a lot of changes that have been made to that management pack. You see a new version of that management pack appear over here in my Explorer view. And we're given a full ability to not only version control the management pack, I could roll back to a previous version of the management pack, but I also have a full audit history of changes that have been made to that management pack. Within the management pack itself, if I just right-click on it, you see we have some additional features in terms of being able to view the management pack. And so typically customers will use MP Studio for deploying management packs. We give them a framework within which to deploy management packs in a very sort of managed and controlled fashion. And we also give them this framework that allows them to sort of some of the ongoing care and feeding of their management packs. We give them a foundation to be able to control that and to manage those changes more effectively. Some of the other features we have, I have the ability to document the management pack, so I can take every object that's defined within that management pack, and I can create a full spreadsheet just with a click of a mouse button. I can create a report showing me all the targets, all the monitors, all the rules. And again, that's something that I have some capabilities within MP Author to do that. Within MP Studio, I have the ability to do that basically with a single mouse click. So here I see all the views, monitors, discoveries, etc. And what else I want to show you? Comparison is another key feature of MP Studio. Comparison, for example, if a vendor produces a new management pack, you're not sure whether you want to deploy it right away or not, you can use this comparison feature to see what's changed in the management pack from the version you're running currently to the version that's been produced by your vendor or perhaps by your internal development team. And as well, we have a testing harness. And the testing harness is great because we basically simulate the implementation of that management pack for you. So instead of deploying this to even a pre-production environment, you can run that management pack through the test harness. You can see what things are going to get discovered. You can see what kinds of alerts and what kind of data is going to be collected to give you a better understanding of what that impact is going to be of that management pack within your environment. Okay, so enough of some of those management pack things. Oh, I guess the other thing I should point out is we do also within MP Studio, we have the ability to look at install management packs. So here I'm connected to my demo management group that we've been working with. I have the ability to look at that Acme healthcare application that we were managing earlier. I can do many of the same things in terms of viewing, documenting. I can add it to the store. I can test it, etc. We have a rich set of reports that we make available, either on an ad hoc basis or on a scheduled basis. And I'm not going to get into too much detail there. And just the last thing I want to point out is on a per management group basis, MP Studio also provides us with some new features as well and things. And just to very quickly go over the list, we have the ability to compare management groups with each other. So if you're in a very large ops manager environment, you have multiple management groups, trying to sync up those management groups can be a bit of a pain. We provide you with the ability to report on differences between your management groups. So I can get a single view of all the management packs in all my management groups, showing me what's different. We can also generate overrides. So overrides is another area of management pack authoring. For sealed management packs, if you have sealed MPs running in your environment, you need to customize those. I can create overrides either individually or in bulk using MP Studio to either turn off certain rules or change certain properties of those rules. Okay, let's cancel out of that. The very last thing I'm going to show you here before we switch back to the slides is the ability to look at workflows. And this is kind of an important piece that allows you to MP Studio is going to reach down to the individual ops manager agents running on these machines, and it's going to produce a report showing all the workflows, all the rules that are running, all the discoveries that are running, all the monitors that are running, and give the ability to see in real time what's happening on that machine from this MP Studio console. This is a report that can take a few minutes to run depending on how many rules, how many management packs are running on an individual endpoint. As you can see here, it is taking its time, so we're not going to wait for it to, magically it appears, perfect. So here's a report showing me all the workflows running on, in this case, a Windows 7 system within my Ops Manager environment. You see not only the rules and the monitors, etc., but you see the overrides as well. So overrides will be highlighted in blue. And if we just group by the management pack name, you'll see that indeed that Acme Healthcare application, the discovery and monitors are running on that individual endpoint. Okay, so I'm going to flip back to the slides. And that's the end of the demo portion. And so again, just to recap, we've monitored a healthcare application using MP Author. We created some more advanced targeting and regulatory compliance monitoring using MP Author. And then right at the very end, I showed you the MP Studio product to do some more deployment, version control comparison capabilities. And so to compare them, MP Author we think is great for common management pack authoring uses, common monitoring scenarios. You can edit management packs, create new management packs. Typically the people that we deal with are IT pros or application owners or even ops manager administrators that are using the MP Author product. We've got lots of new features in SP4. We continue to invest a lot in that product, and we will continue to do so going forward. MP Studio is more for sort of advanced monitoring scenarios. We've added some advanced authoring capabilities within MP Studio. We think we're bridging into the developer community with some of the advanced features we've added. We do have support for development teams. You saw some of the deployment support we have, as well as the authoring capabilities of overrides for sealed management packs. And just some of the numbers. So we're very, very proud about our work with Microsoft. We're very proud about our work with the community in MP Author. We've had 5 releases of MP Author since January 2014, so we're really on a quarterly release cycle with the product. We get close to 300 unique downloads every month of MP Author. We have 2,600 unique organizations that are using MP Author to create management packs within their environments. And from my perspective, even better, is we have over 4,500 unique users of the MP Author product. So we certainly feel an obligation to the community to continue to invest in the product, to continue to put resources out there to help you folks get your jobs done in terms of using MP Author, in terms of leveraging the operations manager infrastructure that you've invested in. Many organizations are using MP Author. Of course, if you have 2,600 companies, you're going to get them across every spectrum, whether it's manufacturers, whether it's healthcare, integrators, consultants, MVPs. We get a lot of feedback from a lot of people about the tool. And just the last thing before, I think it's the last thing before I hand it back to Raul, is this week we've announced a new Management Pack development contest. And so we want to continue to help give back to the Management Pack development community. We're basically asking the community to give us your best VMware Management Pack. Many of our customers we talk to need to manage VMware, have some challenges with some of the solutions that are out there. So what we're doing is we're leveraging our reach into the community to try and bring together a bunch of resources to build a really, really great management pack that we're going to make freely available to the community. We're going to open source it. Some of you may know Mitch Ludi. Mitch created an open source VMware management pack. We're working with Mitch on this contest, so he's going to help move this along with us. We're going to have the awards include a cruise, include Xbox, Surface. It started yesterday. We announced the start of the contest yesterday. We have an early bird draw to try and encourage some submissions. And again, the most important thing, though, is we're creating a sort of an Uber VMware management pack that we're going to make freely available back to the community. So if you want to learn more, mpauthorcommunity.com, and we have a hashtag #MPDevContest. And with that, I'm going to hand it back to Raul. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Harold. I think it's amazing. We spent probably 2 years already working on this project with Silect, and again, we heard that there was a gap between what Microsoft was offering in terms of authoring management packs, and we hope that MP Author is helping close some of those gaps. We had several iterations already. I think I would like to stress that out, and Silect is getting a lot of feedback, and we are still getting feedback in terms of where to go next. So we do appreciate your input in terms of functionality request. Please work with them directly on that, or send feedback to me. I will be staying here. And just to point a few more resources here, of course, reach out to the URLs on the screen for downloading the MP Author and for getting more information of the MP Studio, if that's something that you think your organization may be benefiting from with. And then also, you can reach out to the Visual Studio TechNet site for information about how to get the Visual Studio extensions. This session was not targeted to cover that extensibility that we offer, but if you're interested, feel free to reach out to me directly. And with that, we cover, I think, the objectives that we had for the session, and we're going to be opening for questions. So, folks, if you have any questions, please reach out to the microphone at the end. And Mike, Harold, if you join me on stage. So, any questions regarding management packs and management pack authoring? I see one question here. Go ahead.
Does the software cover any cross-platform monitoring, like monitoring things Does it help you with that?
So the question is, can we author like cross-platform?
Yeah, is it the tool to create cross-platform monitoring?
All right, perfect.
Good question. That's not the first time we've heard that question. No, currently we do not offer any cross-platform monitoring authoring capabilities within MP Author. I'm sorry?
Is that going to be released or
We haven't really fleshed out the next release yet. I mean, that's not a small amount of work for us to do. But again, if the community tells us that's the #1 priority, then that's something that we would probably take action on.
That is definitely. Lots of companies are now like off-platform.
Yep, agreed.
Like in my company, I have like 60% Linux, 40%
Wow.
Windows. So all the time I use this like creating orders on Linux, AIX, all things.
Right. Maybe a show of hands. How many of you is Linux management pack, non-Windows management pack authoring important? Okay, that's a good number.
That's good.
Thank you.
Folks, I know some of you are leaving. Please fill out the survey. It really, really helps to have this session or to update the content. Please do that. We really appreciate. There was another question here to right.
I noticed you have types in your list of objects. Is that just to read the types that are in the management pack, or can you create types?
No, that's just to display them. We can't create types yet. Again, if it's important to you, let us know. We'll prioritize it. You may see it soon in a future version.
Carl, could you repeat the question so that we have it on?
So
for
the question
recording?
was, can we author
The
types
answer.
within MP Author? And the answer today, no, we can't.
There was a question here, microphone.
Yeah,
Please.
I just wanted to know if, I didn't see it in your demo, but does your tool have the ability to create classes or new base classes?
So
Is that just
so
through the discoveries, or?
So the question is can we create classes? We can create classes in the MP Studio product. So the MP Author, the free tool, we don't have the ability to create classes, Mike, correct?
Correct.
So we do within MP Studio.
Classes and relationships
Okay.
were added to
Yeah.
Okay, and then I have one more for you guys. So does your tool support making new management packs for network devices? No. Okay.
Again, if this is something that's interesting to a bunch of you, let us know. We get it prioritized. How many people are interested in supporting network devices?
Wow.
That might actually be
More.
more than that.
That's good.
That's a great result because it wasn't something we expected.
There are a number of appliances that have come out that they want to stop them.
Right.
So the comment is that there was a request for monitoring appliances. Okay, cool. Thank you. Question here.
One of the vendors I noticed that it's Oracle actually had a management pack that actually add the ability to author database connections to non-Windows platforms into the actual authoring console within SCOM itself. I was wondering if you guys had any plans to integrate or have that ability to install so the author it would integrate into the SCOM authoring console with MP authoring.
So, to the best of my knowledge, we've never considered that.
Yeah.
Something of importance to you? Let us know.
I just thought it was very convenient to put it all in one interface instead of having a separate application. It was right there. I didn't realize there was something out there until today when I was
Right.
looking at the exhibits.
Right. Okay. Thank you for that feedback. Other questions right here in the front? The general idea of the cost of MP Studio is approximately $2,500 per named user. I'm not the sales guy though, but question in the middle.
Possible to do several target classes, also the node class, but why we couldn't create a monitor for web packages?
I didn't. Sorry, I didn't quite get that.
We can choose several classes to get the target.
Right?
We can choose the node class, but it's not possible to create a web monitor to find
Yep.
network devices.
None of our, sorry, the question is, again, it was relating to supporting of devices, NICs, and that sort of stuff. If I understand correctly, it's simply we've actually never looked into it, basically. All of our wizards are presuming Windows devices, and so a lot of intelligence has been built into that. For instance, to be able to get the pick lists and stuff like that, and we simply have no facility to do that. We've seen a lot of interest in that, so that's something we will consider in the future.
Thank you. Other questions? Mike and I and Raul will be up here towards the end of the session here. If you guys do have other questions, please come up and see us. But thank you for your time today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.